Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our Elections Committee meeting. Today is October 27, 2023, and it's roughly 6:35. I'd like to welcome you with our committee members, Kenneth Crouch, John Green, Angel Messina, District Manager, and with this, I'm going to mention some ground rules for our meeting. No one may speak until granted the floor. CB11 committee members, if you have a question about board business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. To raise your hand through Zoom, click the participants icon for those that may be on the video, and you will find the raise hand function there. If you have technical difficulty, click the chat icon and relay your difficulty to the staff. Members should not engage in a back and forth discussion. The chair will recognize the next person to speak. The chat should not be used for CB11 business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record. Please keep your questions and comments brief and on topic to the discussion. Members of the public, if you are any, welcome. If you have a question or comment about the subjects on the agenda, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. With that, I'm calling the meeting. The meeting has already been called to order, and we will do a roll call.
Committee members, when I call your name, answer. Present. Kenneth Crouch.
Present.
John Green.
Here.
Nelson Orama.
Here,
Jordan Wright. Isaac Scott. You have quorum.
thank you so much. So if we look at the agenda, if there are no, after review, if there are no changes to the agenda and it's acceptable, we will adopt the agenda. Are there any changes or any comments regarding the agenda? No? Thank you so much. So we're gonna go to step number 4. So we've already gone through the elections nomination process. Thank you so much, everyone who helped with their suggestions. We are very fortunate. We have a new member, Kenneth, who's not new to the board, but he's new to the committee. And so we had nominations for the various positions for chair, vice chair, secretary, treasurer, assistant treasurer. The only one that didn't get a nomination was the assistant secretary. There was one nomination per each. So that means that the November elections will only have one member per office. And so that was, everyone was informed in the meeting of the full board that happened this past Tuesday. So with that said, in the first meeting, we had discussed the possibility of doing a candidate forum. And we had discussed it being, I believe, November 15th of roughly in about 2 to 3 weeks. That was with the, I guess, understanding that we have at least 2 people per office, which would then lead to questions being asked, and you know, the candidates could set themselves apart based on their responses. With the fact that only one person was nominated per office, I wanted to get your thoughts of whether we should move forward with that, or would that be a waste of time? Because, you know, basically, you don't have anyone to shine against. You know, it could be a forum for asking questions, but I don't know if this committee thinks that it's a worthwhile use of time to put together a candidate forum where there's no, you know, opposition. So there is an informational candidate questionnaire that in the past we've used. We originally, I believe, started using it like in 2015. And it's been updated. There may have been one election in between. It was used in 2019. It may not have been used in the past election. So I wanted to get your thoughts based on the fact that because there's only 5 candidates for 5 offices, would it be best to include a candidate questionnaire like we've done in the past and have them fill it out so that the board members can become familiar with them through their writing, as opposed to a candidate forum?
I mean, I think I completely agree. You know, I think a forum, it works when you have multiple folks presenting their vision for a particular position, but
Right.
here we have one person per position, so it doesn't really, it's a good use of our time
Okay.
to do that. But this questionnaire looks fantastic, and I think it would help us flesh out each individual vision better than a candidate forum would. And just looking over it, I have a couple of draft questions too that we could possibly add if we want to.
Absolutely, and so that's what I want.
Oh, yeah, we can get there, but yeah, I completely agree with you.
Absolutely.
I think that's a good.
John?
Well, the thing is that the questionnaire is probably the best way to go. If all the candidates fill this out, it could be placed on the website.
Right,
And as people can see the candidate for each office. And like how they answer the questions, and they can get an idea of what the person's ideas are about the office that they're running for.
okay, good, so, I know, John, you've been part of the elections committee, and Ken brought up some good ideas about maybe tweaking and adding questions. So maybe we could take a moment to see if there's something that you wanna add. And we can take a motion to use the election questionnaire as opposed to the candidate form, since we voted on the candidate form last time. We could make a motion that's broad enough to say that, we will adopt the election questionnaire. And we will, with the understanding that questions may be added and revisions will be made before release. Something like that, so that this way, if we give ourselves a deadline, let's say, and we say that by Tuesday or Wednesday, right, we should, as a committee, have any questions we want to add, that then we would email it. I would add it to the final document. And then I would send the document to be reviewed by you. And then if it's fine, it looks okay, then we will send it out. Okay, so with that, let's entertain. Well.
Yeah, I'm happy to propose a motion to adopt the informal candidate questionnaire as opposed to the candidate forum. With the caveat that we may edit or add additional questions before the final adoption at our meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Can we vote by acclamation? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. We will so put that in the minutes, and I will give everyone an updated email to include Pastor Isaac Scott and Jordan Wright, so that they're aware. Okay, if there's any questions if there's something that you immediately see now that you wanna, even if it's just like a subject, if you wanna mention now, we could just note it on the paper, not the full question, but like say you see, like something is missing. John, you've been now on at least 2 election committees, is it?
Three.
Three.
This is the third.
Right, so based on your experience, you might see something that has never been asked, so we should ask differently. And then Kenneth, based on your experience and you may think that there may be something that was totally missing or should be reworded. So if you see something, just let me know if you want to add something now, or just make notes on your paper, and then we can hash it out through email.
Okay.
Okay, so we decided no candidate forum, an informational questionnaire, we're gonna do that. And then there was, I should have printed it out, but I think I gave it last time, and if I did, I'll print that. We have done a document many years ago about electioneering do's and don'ts. Let me see if I have it with me. I understand that we only have like one candidate per office, but people still have to be respectful of people's time, right? Because we don't know what everyone is doing. And some people have young children, some people are in relationships. And sometimes there's an assumption that because you're a board member that you're available all the time. Or that you should be able to field the call because it's important for someone to get elected. And they forget that there should be boundaries. So I had come up with something that was from many years ago. And if I don't have it here, I will definitely send it around. Where it was like being respectful of people's time. making sure that, when you do run, that, you follow basic protocol, right? And the reason this was put together was, this document was put together really in 2015. And so you can feel free to update it, put your comments on it, and then we'll update it accordingly to what this committee feels. So what was happening at that time was that it was a contentious time, and people were not only calling people, and they just smiling.
Yeah, see that?
And so people were calling people out, and John, I'm sure you remember, and people were calling people at all times, and people were using different reasons to get elected, such as, I may be a female, or I may be a certain race, or this person you shouldn't do because of this and that. And it became very nasty, and it took away from what we should be working on as a community board.
Well, I'll say, this.
John? Mhm.
I'll say this, that it was so contentious, the night of the full board meeting that I didn't show up. I couldn't come, I got to the door and I said, I can't do this.
Mhm.
I said, I just refused to come, and I wasn't there for the election, I didn't vote. That's how contentious it was.
And that should never be, right?
That
If
was
someone is
100%,
so, no, and I don't think it is. From that time, the culture. And it started changing when, that was the first time I was the elections chair at that time. And that was when that was like, no, this is not happening. In other elections, we had stuff, I call them shenanigans, still happen. Where people still try to do things that I thought were not ethical and above board in our elections, but we certainly handled that. And so I don't think that's gonna happen this time. I think every election we're getting better, right? But, and especially in this election, there should be none of that because there's nobody to campaign against. But still in all, I think it's a good practice for us to remind the candidates, right? Like even if they get elected, by one vote, which is very interesting because I still would love for people to have to get 26 votes, but, Angel schooled me that if you get one vote, that's all basically you need, right? And this is,
It's the majority of the votes cast,
okay, all right,
so if there was no other votes cast, like,
okay, right, so.
But the president not voting, one person votes, then.
Mhm.
magic.
And so basically to give you a sense of what, this is not the one I wrote, this is where my original email, but so I'm gonna freshen up and put it in. So it says that this was what we had written or was being drafted at that time. The nominating committee held its first meeting on that date, and we have much to discuss about the elections process and our next steps. And we said we will be sending out future communications about a candidate's questionnaire, which fits what we're doing, right? For all members running for CB11 office, and we will also share future details about a candidate meet the night, because at that time we did that as well as the candidates night, right? And we said we'd like to address some matters relating to the campaigning process. While we know that people are excited about running for office, some concerns at that time have been brought to our attention about campaign practices. To that end, there are a few items we will request everyone's cooperation on. And so we decided that we will not receive any campaign communications. As the committee, we didn't want to get bombarded with people like, like we should be able to make our own decisions and not feel that someone might accuse us of being partial because we're getting all this stuff and we should be impartial in our process. So we said we are focused on running a good process and election that is fair for our candidates. Please do not call, email, or reach out to us in any other manner to request our support for your candidacy or request support for the candidacy of someone you're supporting. But if they have questions, they will contact us at the CB11 email and we will get back to them. We ask that you respect people's times and lives. Please do not inundate one another with phone calls, emails about your candidacy or the candidacy of someone you're supporting. Members of the board have family responsibilities, work obligations, and other commitments, so please consider their time before you reach out. Concerns have been raised about people using race or gender as reasons why one candidate should be supported over another. members have expressed that they do not like this sort of approach, so we ask they refrain from doing that and allow members to base their decisions on the merits of each candidate's qualifications. If you are uncomfortable about how you're being contacted to reach out to us so that we can address the matter. And so basically, that's the gist of the elections do's and don'ts. So I will look to put it in an email document for you to review. If there is any additions that you want or subtractions or changes, please feel free to edit, your comments, and then we will then put it in one document to send out. Okay, so is there a motion to accept sending out the candidates doing those with any changes that are recommended? That's motion by John Green and seconded by
Second.
Kenneth Fresh. Okay, and we can vote by acclamation, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we know one, just to recap, the candidates forum is canceled. 2, we are sending out a questionnaire, and we're gonna give ourselves maybe till, would we be agreeable, maybe by October 31st, November 1st? We should have that, we should have it sooner, Angel.
I'm sorry, the draft documents, you mean?
Right, for the candidate questionnaire, right? I have the document, but the committee's gonna review and make any changes or additions. So Isaac is not here and Jordan is not here.
Right.
So should we, the election is what, the 28th?
The 28th.
So the election is November 28th, right? So we should have any comments or questions. Let's say the weekend you're off and you're enjoying yourself or doing something, right? So I'm not expecting you to look at it over the weekend. So should we say by middle of next week or next Friday, we should have any additional questions? So we would look to have any additional questions or anything for the candidates questionnaire by next week. That's what, I think November 3rd.
Right, yeah.
So
Next week,
November 3rd.
And then what day do you wanna like send it out? You'll be.
Right,
in
so
for
if
it.
if everything. It can be prior to November 3rd, like you can send to me, but you have a week to send it. If November 3rd,
I mean, once the documents are settled,
if I have it settled,
when are you gonna send them out?
I was thinking at the end of November, I can even send it out Saturday.
So that next Saturday.
I could, so it is November 3rd is Friday, right?
Yeah.
And I have the documents, both documents set up. I can send them, you can send them or I can send them.
I think you should send them, but the reason I'm asking is, because the partner question is.
When
Are
do
you
you
gonna
get it
set a
back?
deadline of like when they should have it
Right,
back?
so
that
that's-
it can be shared with the membership so that they can.
Right, so that's the next question I was gonna pick you guys' brain out. So if it takes till November 3rd to get the comments, if I get comments earlier than that, right? Then I'll update the form as soon as I have everyone's comments. So there's a possibility it could go out before November 3rd, once Angel reviews it. Right, because I'm gonna include obviously our liaison and everything, who's more experienced than him in this process besides John, right? John has done 3. So once the form is set up, we can review it, make sure that the committee feels comfortable with how it looks, right? And then if there's no changes, it can even be before November 3rd, if it's all finished.
So what do you think of,
There should be,
like, what do you think of them?
The deadline.
I'm just thinking of like once it's sent, like it should be in by
Mhm.
the 15th.
Okay, so by November 15th.
Because I'm
The
just-
forum was gonna be the 15th.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking in terms of like the week of the 20th, whatever, that's Thanksgiving.
Right,
And you know how people are about Thanksgiving.
right.
Everybody's going to France,
Mhm.
so they're gonna check out. So
Yeah.
you're gonna want it circulated the week before,
Right, okay.
right? So that no one can say I was in France and I didn't see the email,
Mhm.
right? Did you know that East Harlem people like traveling to France?
I've never been, but I've heard good things.
Yeah, no, they go en masse.
So so is there any objection to accepting November 15th as the deadline
Because that's the deadline for candidates to complete.
to complete and submit it to us?
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah, not opposed. That gives them a week and a half.
I
We're
would,
here.
yeah, because as I was considering, the thing is, the week of November 6th, actually, the office is closed 2 days out
right,
because it's election day and Veterans Day.
exactly. So you're off Tuesday and Friday, Angel.
Am I?
Yep. I know because I follow the same calendar.
I'm
Yeah,
not,
me too.
I'm not off Friday,
You're not off Friday?
no. I'm off Tuesday.
Tuesday and Thursday, though, right? Oh, no,
No,
wait.
Tuesday and
no,
Friday.
no.
Yeah, because Veterans Day is the
You don't get
11th.
benefits?
Veterans is the 11th,
It's not observant.
and it's observed on the 10th, but it's only floating holidays, and I'm not gonna take it.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay. See, for us, it's not a floater. Take it.
When our day says, well.
Usually we get it off with this, I looked after the last meeting when you mentioned it, I'm like, am I off? It's a floating holiday, so I could take it off, but,
If you take it off, if it's a floating, you still get paid for it.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, so we should take it. Anyway,
The-
we'll talk about that. So we're gonna, do that, especially since the deadline is November 15th, you don't gotta send out, cause I can send it out. So, so the deadline, November 15th will be, the last day for them to return the candidate questionnaire. We will put it together, send it to the membership, and then we can post it on the website?
Website for what?
No, you don't want the public to read who's gonna potentially be, no.
No, I'm asking, I don't
No,
know.
I'm asking,
What
right?
do you think?
Well, I'll defer to the committee. John brought it up. If a member doesn't check their email and they go on the website, that.
You
might
mean
be
like the
easy.
blank form?
No,
the
the
answer-
ones,
The responses.
the responses, yeah. Says this person feels like this about leadership and all this. And for the, so the thing, so.
Okay.
The,
There's
members of
nothing
the
private in
board,
the form, right?
Right.
As long as we don't have anything private.
right,
I don't think there's
Yeah, sure.
anything private. So we could put it, if there's a specific place or not under the elections.
Yeah, I could figure that
Tab.
out, definitely.
Yeah, so we can post that. Okay, so this is five bios. Okay. So that would be, so we have,
If you're getting bios and they're putting personal information, we should not put that on the website.
okay.
It's maybe
Oh,
just
the only thing we
private.
should put on.
If it's
is the
just like,
questionnaire.
John Doe, I think there's what
Right.
this and that.
So we can ask them to submit their resume and CVs or whatever in addition to that, but the only thing we'll post is the
The question
questionnaire.
responses. We can have a preamble that says, please do not have identifying information or private information in your
Right,
response.
so
In
we
case you
can
use like
put-
a story or something.
Right, we could put a disclaimer.
Right.
If you write out the disclaimer, Kenneth.
All right, I got you.
appreciate it.
Yep.
Because you said
Want to
so
spoke
well.
You gotta jump on those volunteers.
Right.
Okay, so, but are we good with asking for a resume, let's say, or CV? I think in the past, we've always asked for that, but we will only post the questionnaire. Okay,
That's great.
but when we circulate the email with the questionnaire to the members, we can include the resume.
Okay.
Because it's going just to the body.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got that. All right, so we're moving forward from the electioneering do's and don'ts. We're gonna do that form where everyone's gonna give the suggestions as to whether anything has to be added. So now we're gonna move on to the actual elections. So here's where I'm going to rely on our experienced member, John, and our district manager, Angel Muscane, who runs the election. So just to give some background, because of COVID, Kenneth, we always do voting. We always did voting by paper, in person, and it would be tallied through the process. When COVID hit and the elections had to happen, Angel and the elections committee worked hard to do a virtual, a digital kind of electronic voting. And it went well because we got a chair. Now, in the last meeting, we discussed whether we wanted to do because we're now in person. If we wanted to do the regular way we used to do by paper, or if we wanted to do strictly electronic, because it allows for the tallying to go faster and it may be more quickly, the numbers come out and it may show like a quicker accuracy as opposed to doing it by paper. It still could be accurate, obviously, we're still accurate, but it takes a little longer.
Sure.
And then the third choice, once we got guidance from Angel, was that we could do a hybrid where we could put in the electronics portion of it, everyone would get a link. But since we meet in person, those who did not have the ability to vote electronically, when that becomes live, could opt out of the electronic ballot portion, just get a paper ballot where at the bottom they check off, I opted out of the electronic ballot, and then vote by paper. So then the committee would be handling potentially less paper ballots. And there would be, the numbers from the electronic portion with the addition of the paper where we will clearly delineate, this is electronic voting. These are the paper ballots. Together that should add up to whoever is in the room, right? And so it was decided and voted on that that's what we would do. And so with that, John, I'm curious as to what your sense was with the strictly electronic voting, because you were at home, right? So
Yeah.
all you did was vote.
Yeah,
The committee really did nothing. It was really Angel who did the tallying, or did you guys have the ability to assist?
I don't think we had the ability to assist.
Reviewed.
You reviewed it, yeah, but that's about it. I mean, and it worked well, and it, the things which was great. The thing is, since we didn't have any choice in the fact that the election had to be carried out because it was 2 years since the last one. Angel's work and the committee's work was great in it, and it worked very well.
And so, because Angel, you and the staff basically handled it, and they have viewing. So, with us being hybrid, what I see in my mind, so correct me if I'm wrong, and you guys step in, right? So I see us having paper ballots that have been printed out, right? I don't think they're gonna be pre-named, because that would be a waste of paper. They will be, do you want them pre-named, or do you
No,
want
no,
them,
no,
they write
no.
their name, they can write their name in and
Yeah,
sign off?
Yeah, right, so it'll have the candidates and then you fill in your name.
Okay.
The one thought I have now. That we know we only have a candidate for office,
Mhm.
is. We should probably just try to do it as expediently as possible, right? Cause like, why make it complicated if we already, we kind of know what the result's gonna be unless everybody abstains. Which is unlikely. Given that the candidates can vote for themselves.
Oh, yes.
Right, so probably like the easiest thing, and we might just be better off doing it on paper and offering the form to anyone that might choose to participate remotely, like someone with since we just did the qualifying disability thing.
Mhm.
That might be just easier, because there's like the advantage of the form in a regular year is that it tallies it up over quickly for you, right? But that's not a worry when you already know, like if you get one vote, then it's over. Right, then you can just count them afterwards and be like, okay, you got 26 votes, so it's decided, so it might be easier to just do paper.
Okay, so if we're doing paper,
I'm sorry, to me, the form is also easier to create and to distribute
No,
and for
that's
people to
fine.
complete, but just throwing it out there that perhaps it might be easier on paper, or maybe not.
okay,
Just throw it out
so. Just so that I understand, and feel free to chime in, guys, so if we do it by paper, as people walk in. Right? Or do we wait to the elections portion to start giving out the ballots?
It has to be during the elections portion.
Okay,
And-
so
and
during
then
the
the-
elections
the-
portion,
Sorry, the other thing to
Uh-huh.
consider if we're doing a form is that we're going to need reliable Wi-Fi at the location.
we don't
Or
need to, right?
we
If you do
are,
electronic
if
form.
we do the electronic form.
Oh, but.
Unless people have, really good cell service, right, which isn't always a guarantee, right, like, someone using this provider might be okay, someone using that provider might have issues. So. It's just a potential complication.
So. All right, so one benefit that I see, well, I always did it by paper, so it doesn't matter to me really, right? But, so one benefit about the paper is that people will have to physically hand it into you.
Yeah.
right? So it's also a way of like checking attendance and making sure people are still there. Because electronically, you know, depending on how many people are there, you know, someone may step out to
They-
vote, but you only said we need one, so it don't matter, right?
Well, with the, so it's you know, people shouldn't be cheating on an election for community board. And they're gonna be responding from their email that they've confirmed, like what we did last time is we confirmed the email, right? So I wrote an email and like Kenneth, like, this is where I'm writing.
Right,
I'm not gonna take any votes from you from another email. So
Right.
if you write it from your work email, it doesn't count. It has to be the, you know, Kenneth one or whatever, you know, right? And that's the one that counted, doing that. The more I'm talking about it now, I think you just do the paper
Yeah.
okay.
and save everybody's trouble.
So what are your thoughts on?
Yeah, I think I actually agree, because I think if we use an electronic form, say you send it out, we don't know if we're waiting for someone to like send in a vote at some point, whereas if we have a physical copy, the people are there, you simply fill it out, you put it back in. Fill out an electronic form, it could elongate the process more than we really needed to, especially when we know what the vote is.
Because the thing is that I sometimes I watch C-SPAN and, you know, when they do votes in the House of Representatives, they do it by electronic device.
Right.
And they have to wait until
Yeah.
everybody votes. And sometimes you figure, take maybe 10-15 minutes for 300, for 300 people to vote.
Right.
Sometimes it takes them an hour. And so I said, well, what's taking so long? You would figure most of them are either against something or with, or for something or against them. So all they have to do is just say for, aye or nay and stuff like that. And it takes, and they count it down, or they have a graphic on the screen that how many have voted and who still has, how many still has to vote. And sometimes it takes the longest time to get it done.
Yeah.
I think if we had, like I said before, if we had a regular election, like 3 candidates. So then the tallying of the paper is like, okay, on this one, they chose this person, this person.
Right.
And this one, it's just the one, so it's literally just counting pieces of paper. So then we got
Yeah, every
25
Yeah.
things and that's it.
Right.
We're gonna wait for somebody who's offline, we don't even know where they are,
Yeah.
you know, they're not in the room, but after they sent their vote in, it seems like it would just take forever. logistically.
Yeah, because the one basic thing is that all this has to be done properly, because all this has to be submitted to the board president's office. So the thing is, because, oh no, what, not anymore?
Never.
Oh, never? I thought it was. I
No,
thought it
it's our whole thing, it's our show.
Oh, okay.
But we
Yeah.
need
There
one to
was-
have it to
There was a moment where there was some funny business, and then to get around the funny business,
Yeah.
they brought in the VP as like, what do they call that?
On the watch show?
Election observer.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Because there was funniness, but.
Here, in this, in our community,
Oh,
Oh,
2015, huh?
No, well, that 2015 was the acrimony.
Uh,
2019 was where people were sending emails saying vote for this person, vote for that person, and all that stuff, so.
yeah, it got it.
What a time.
It gets crazy sometimes, but, so. The last time we took a motion to vote hybrid, that was before we were educated and schooled on the one nominee per position.
I'd say keep it, if that's what you're about to suggest. I'd say keep it in case someone submits I have a qualifying disability, and that way they can.
So we can accommodate other,
Yeah,
Okay, so we
So they
can
would be
leave it like
remote.
that, but everyone, by and large, we are going to
just
do
paper, yeah.
paper. Anyone who's in person will be doing the paper ballot.
Right.
Anyone who cannot attend due to a qualifying disability will be allowed to do so we're gonna then leave that like that. Now, with that said now, right, so now the committee, right, needs roles, right? So we have the ballots. I know it sounds, but it can be, so somebody has to give out the ballots. That's gonna be one of us at the committee level, because the office staff should not be doing that. So who can I get to give out the ballots?
I'm happy.
Okay, so
I just have to show up, right? And-
right,
and,
you just have to show
Just
up.
wanna make sure I know what I'm trying to.
Yeah, Angel will give you the ballots and, you'll make sure, right? Is there anything that Kenneth would have to consider other than handing a piece of paper to someone?
So, what I would say is that perhaps. you should like design up into your process that you guys are not receiving them until after you voted.
Okay.
Yeah, just to kind of like, just be extra paranoid
Sure.
all the time, so like, here, I've handed them out, and then I'm not taking any, and then I fill out my thing, I throw it in a box or whatever thing you're gonna design. And then there'll be a moment where you're like, okay, we'll take them now, and you start taking it. Cause it'll take you 2 seconds to fill out your own ballot, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Do we normally have like a ballot box or any, or?
We've done boxes.
Yeah, we've been out boxes.
Should we do a box this time? If we have a box, right, we can have
Boxes,
that.
boxes we have.
Yeah, what's worked best in the past? Do something like that.
So you just use the regular copy?
Yeah, they just drop it, no one sees anything.
Okay, so maybe we should, so we'll have a little ballot box.
Yeah, create a slot,
Okay.
just have them put their ballots in it, and when everybody's voted, you open it up and count the vote.
All right, so Kenneth will be the ballot distributor, and I guess he can also be the ballot box watcher.
There you go.
Of course, yeah.
No stuff in the ballot.
Right, because, because we'll have him sit, okay.
There's no
so-
writing candidates, right? Frederick?
No,
Yeah.
right,
No writing can.
No writing, okay.
right, so now that does away with, well, you still may need someone who a laptop, right? I guess with you, like, to see the votes coming in, the electronic votes, if any.
Yeah.
Right, so you see that and a committee member would sit with you, so.
So
confirm-
and it'll come, like, I'll access the form on my computer, and then when you guys are talking, then I'll just give you my computer, you can see. And you can, confirm as the committee, like you would confirm the ballots and add that to your time.
John, would you like to do that?
Sure.
Okay, so John is the access form confirmer person.
There you go.
That's your official title. Okay, and so, and then in this process, other than what we just said, I'm trying to think of when we did it with paper. Is there anything else that we need to watch out, like? For? I mean, it's simple, you give out the ballot, the candidate sits down next to the box.
Yeah, it sounds.
They come back and they put it,
Yeah.
right?
I didn't set a time.
So the
Yeah, I mean, I'll
time,
give them, what, how much we need, like 5 minutes, is that,
Something.
and,
is that
and
enough time, I would hope?
right, so, and time, and John is usually very good about time. So not only is John the access form confirmer person, he's also the timer, the timekeeper.
There you go.
See, John, since you have the most.
You're like Robert Moses, man, like so many.
You have
comments.
two. Okay,
Yeah.
anything else that we may need that Pastor Isaac Scott and Jordan may need to do, like maybe they can walk around,
They
they
can
shouldn't
count.
be able to ask questions and
They
say.
could
"Give me help."
they could do the counting.
Okay, so
After-
counting, so Pastor Scott and Jordan will do, so
Yeah,
Pastor
one can
Scott,
count and then the other one can do the second count.
right, so Jordan would do
Jordan
the
check.
second count.
For the
He's in-
one candidate per position.
Yeah.
Right, and the first count.
So the process is consistent.
Yeah,
Right.
of course.
Okay, so.
There might be lawyers in the room.
Right, and then we make the announcements after everything is tallied
Yeah,
there,
well, that's
Okay.
you.
that's me. announcements. Okay, so just to recap. We're going to leave the motion as is, and we're going to continue a hybrid election model. For those that may have a qualifying disability and then they can vote electronically. We are going to focus though, everyone who's at the meeting will be an in-person vote only. And with that, there's some roles, the paper ballots will be created by Angel Muscane. And then Kenneth will be giving out the ballots. And then he will be in charge of securing the safety of the ballots. And so the box will be next to him, because we don't want anybody to steal our ballots.
It feels really important. I'm honored. I'm really honored.
And I know that Kenneth will make us proud. And then as part of this, additional, most important job is checking the electronic ballots, and John will be working with Angel on that. And he will also, because he's a superlative timekeeper, when we need to cut people off or keep people moving, John will be doing that. Angel Muscane has his finger up.
So the bylaws detail that in the conduct of the election,
Mhm.
there's a amount of time, an equal amount, there's an amount of time given to each candidate. To address the board at the election meeting, so the election meeting is within the full board meeting, so like your section is the election
Right.
meeting. So they have to have time. to
So we're
address.
gonna give them time, so we're gonna finish this
So
little
you gotta
section.
decide what.
And
I'm
we're
sorry,
gonna-
yeah,
we're
you have
gonna
to
decide,
if it's gonna
right.
be, 10 seconds or 3 minutes.
Okay,
or whatever.
so we're gonna go right back to that, which is a good point, cause I think I left that out of the agenda, and then Pastor Scott will do the first count of the votes, the paper ballots. And then Jordan will confirm, do a second count of the paper ballots. And then once the paper ballots are tallied and confirmed. And John and Angel, the virtual electronic ballots, those will be added together and an announcement will be made for the positions. I will be very surprised if there are other announcements other than the ones that we expect. But, cause there's no writing candidates, but hey, sometimes you never know. And so Angel brought up a good point, which I forgot to put here on the agenda. Traditionally, and per the bylaws, we've allowed the candidate to say a statement. I believe in the past, it hasn't been more than, John, do you remember? It wasn't more than 5, right? 3?
I don't remember being 5 minutes, but,
3 maybe?
three perhaps, yeah.
Right, so do we think that that's adequate based on the fact that they're giving us their resume? And so while the resume may not be posted publicly, or whatever they choose to give us their statement, but in addition to the candidate questionnaire that we will read, do you have a suggestion of is 3 minutes adequate? We're not going to entertain questions we usually don't entertain questions at the elections committee level when we're doing the election. Usually the questions were at the candidate forum. I sort of remember that there was a statement, like I remember when I participated in candidate forums when I was chair. The questions happened at the candidates forum, right? But then when I had to make a statement at the board, if I remember correctly, I would just say a statement. Because there was opportunity for the candidates to reach out to me and talk to me personally and ask any questions at that time. I don't know if I'm misremembering. Angel, do you?
I don't remember.
I don't think so. I don't think that,
It
because
might
I
have
think,
been, but definitely not in recent years. that I can
Yeah.
recall. Maybe.
right,
like,
so
a million years
do
ago.
you think that based on the fact that we have a candidates questionnaire, the candidates can reach out and talk to people, because it should not be a slam dunk, right? Even though it seems like it is, right? But at the very least, the candidates, if I was running, even if it was just me, I would say, I know I'm the only one on the ballot, but I want to tell you why I still feel that you should vote for me again if I'm a repeater. And if I'm the first time, says, you don't really know me, I'm new. But I wanted to take a chance to see if you had any questions for me that I could answer.
I don't think there's any harm in a couple of questions.
Okay, so you think
Yeah.
we should
It
allow
might not
questions?
be any, but.
I
I'm
think-
not even active in the opportunity.
Yeah, I think it should be a question period, especially because we're getting a statement from each candidate about what they believe in, what their positions are, what their vision is for our community.
Mhm.
And it kind of, I want it to be addressed to, I want there to be an opportunity for folks to question folks about what was their position, how did they feel about something. Otherwise, it just becomes a document that no one talks to, right?
Okay.
So I hope there's a way that we can have people interact with the candidate questions they've hopefully read before the election. I don't want to take too much time too, obviously, so I don't know. if-
Well, that's a
Yeah.
good thought. Hold on to that, John.
Well, why don't we do this like we do with the speakers, at the beginning of the full board meeting? Have each candidate have 2 minutes and give 1 minute for questions. And that's it.
Do you think 1 minute is enough, considering that, people might have questions, or do you think it should be maybe like an additional minute? Or not? Like, if nobody asks a question, I'm gonna tell you sit down,
Of course, yeah.
because I don't want you to wait there and it's already a minute past, I'm gonna say, listen, I appreciate you waiting for a question, but none is forthcoming, you may have a seat. You know, or John will say something like time, but, you know, or shouldn't we follow the 2 minute and the one?
And
I guess 2 minutes contingent on the fact, on if there's any questions. No question, they had 3 minutes and they could be said.
So, Angel?
and then questions just from board members?
Questions just from board members, because board members are the only ones that vote,
Yeah, okay.
right? So we could say you have 3 minutes, if there's an influx of questions, you'll have 1 additional minute. And if we have a bell, I would love to like.
And that's up to you, like, if you see 15 questions. Then just,
You
know,
think
like,
you're gonna see 15
no,
questions?
but like I always think of like the exaggerated
Well,
and
that's
figure
true.
out how to deal with these.
So we're saying at a minimum 3 minutes with the possibility of adding additional time as for questions. So if we're gonna add the extra time, should we decide on how much it should be now? Because if not, the questions can go on and
Yeah,
on and
sure.
on and on.
For questions, I'd say 2 minutes max.
So 2 minutes for your statement and 2 minutes in questions.
Do the bylaws have any guidance about how long a statement should be?
It just says time,
Just equal
used
time.
to, before it was redone, it used to say 5.
And that's what I
I
remember,
gotta- I
5
gotta
minutes,
refind it, but that, like, we took it out,
right?
and I'm sure there was a good reason.
I don't think there'll be a lot of questions, but I like the idea of equal question time so that we can hear from board members just as much as we heard from the candidate.
Right,
Mhm.
yeah,
But I don't think that
that's fair.
we'll take up all that time. It's
I
only
don't think
5,
so either.
5 positions.
Right.
Um,
So the max, if it was 5 minutes, the max would be, let's say, 25 minutes.
Right,
If people adhere to the time and they'll go on and on. If it was 4 minutes, then it would be, 4 times 5 is 20 minutes.
That's not bad at all.
yeah, I doubt we'll get that,
So do we opt for up to 5 minutes, 2 minutes for the candidate statement and up to what? 3 minutes for questions?
3, 2, I'm indifferent.
Or
either one.
3, 2, the other way,
Yeah.
3 minutes for the candidate to keep talking and then 2 minutes for follow-up.
3, 2,
Okay, so 3,
maybe here on it.
is that, are we all in agreement?
2.5 minutes
Yeah.
Okay, 3 minutes candidate. 2 minutes
questions.
questions.
Maybe we
Do
can-
we need to vote on that?
Sure. You don't have to,
Oh,
but
we
it's supposed to
good?
just so you guys
Yeah.
All right.
amongst each other are agreeing.
Did you wanna say something?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that I want to encourage candidates, they don't have to take up that full 3 minutes if they don't want to.
Right.
That's just like a suggested time frame that they have, but
Right.
it's not gonna take as many less if they only speak for 1 minute or,
Right.
that should hopefully keep things moving there.
Yeah, and that's a good statement, to make, like, don't feel that you have to put up all the oxygen.
Right,
And it'll take up all that time if you have nothing to say,
right,
especially if you've already been elected to the board. Board members have seen you in action. Any new questions, there may be some questions for those that are newly nominated. For
Yeah.
instance, the treasurer is newly nominated, even though
Right.
that candidate's work is known on the board. The assistant treasurer is a new board member. That was nominated as a new board member. The secretary is also a new board member. So those might have people ask more questions, if any, just to become familiar with their work style and what they think is important.
Yeah.
So we're good with that. And then, so the time needed for the entire process, we're talking at least 5 minutes per candidate. So at a minimum, we're talking about 25 minutes for candidates to say the statement and answer questions, and potentially another, half an hour for voting. So are we giving an hour? That's a lot of time based on the fact that you guys just write your name.
Yeah.
Check a paper. So once the process has started, where Kenneth has given out the ballots, and then he's gone to secure our secure
15
ballot box.
minutes max.
15
Yeah.
minutes max, so we're talking about 50 minutes.
Yeah.
right? Because 25 and 15 was that right, 40 minutes.
40, yeah.
Fine. Y'all can feel free to correct my error anytime. So we're talking about 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we give ourselves, let's say, maybe 10 minutes to confirm the numbers and everything like that. So it still comes out to roughly an hour. It shouldn't be that difficult. So now, a question in terms of process. We are counting as we are getting them, or are we waiting for all the ballots to be given in, and then we're gonna open the box, and then we're gonna take out everything at one
Yeah,
time?
I suggest when you start, like you say, we're gonna give out the ballots now. And give out the ballots, and then you have this amount of time to vote. Please hand it in by this time, and then once they're all in,
Mhm.
then you open the box and then you start counting.
Okay, and so that's when okay.
Question, when people in the past, they come up to a podium and put their vote in,
Yeah.
something like that, okay. So is 5 minutes, has that been enough time historically? Yeah.
And that's been with people that, there's been sometimes multiple candidates, 2 candidates for a position.
Right,
Yeah,
Okay, that should be quick.
because by that time, people have decided already, what they want.
It goes quick. The only thing that's taking long is when you have a lot of candidates, you have a lot of speeches.
Yeah.
And then, like counting, I guess members are not account. But besides that,
But I think we're pretty good.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
We got double counters, so we got past this
like
guy.
famous last words.
I can't seem to.
I'm looking
access
forward to
that
the
25.
creativity of screwing up a one candidate election.
Right,
So sit back like, well, okay, wow.
How do we do that?
Impressive.
right,
I'll put that on Netflix.
okay. So we roughly saying 40 minutes is gonna be
Yeah.
enough, no more definitely than an hour, but definitely 40 minutes to,
Yeah.
So we're talking about that, and then
And you'll be
elections,
the last thing.
right, and so elections is the last.
Yeah.
On the agenda, because
The
by
last
that
thing.
time we're exhausted, we added up and everybody wants to go home.
Yeah, the last committee, so all the committee reports, blah, 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 and then after all of them, elections, that'll be the election meeting. And then once you all wrap up, make your announcement, that closes that, and then new business, old business, and we get out of there. And we'll make sure to not put any new business on the agenda.
Right, anything that we can skip so we can keep the meeting along. Now, Angel, you have been,
People don't like talking business after the,
no.
that I know.
And so, I'm gonna give you guys a copy of what I have read out the candidates do and don'ts, so if you want, okay. So Angel had sent, and I remember it was Angel, in 2021, I knew there wasn't much in 2021.
Of course that was.
I know, but I can't find anything in my emails regarding it, so Angel put out an email, and I'm gonna make you a copy now, about how the balloting will go electronically. And so because we're having that electronic component, the assumption is that Angel will still send out the same email, except with maybe an updated on the date, because the process really doesn't change, does it?
I don't remember the email, but
Okay,
yeah,
I'm going to make a copy now. Please note that this is from 2021, so the candidates are different. Let me just make you a copy of this, and I will be right back. I know our audience can give me patience. We're almost done.
nobody here, yeah, I gotta go, pick up my kid,
Who are the two participants?
it's just me,
Oh.
yeah, it's that computer and this computer, I love it.
Thank you for your patience. So this is kind of crazy. This is the document that I mentioned about the election do's and don'ts.
Thank you.
And Angel's email. Done. You. Uh-huh. So once it's reviewed, since Angel, I thought it was great, I had nothing to do with the elections at that time. But, it may be that Angel will be, after reviewing and updating for date and maybe candidate. It may be that Angel elects to send out this same, email with updating. So I just wanted you to be familiar with what he says. He mentions the ballot. He mentions the process. And, yeah. So. So we take a moment to read it quick,
Gave me 2 minutes last time to speak.
one quick.
So, anything?
The only thing that I would suggest is like the second to last paragraph, we are conducting an election via electronic ballot for those who declare that they need to vote electronically as well as in-person paper balloting. You know what I mean? Like, so that it's clear that even though this is the digital information, that somewhere we tell them that if they come in person, they'll have a paper ballot.
That they'll be voting by paper ballot.
By
That's what you
paper
said.
ballot, right,
In
With the
person,
option to opt in.
right.
No, I thought you took that out.
So,
in
no,
person
no,
is
but I'm
just
saying
paper.
here, this is the
Yeah, no,
first.
I'll reword this, but
Right.
like what you decided tonight was in person is paper. And
Absolutely,
then qualifying,
disability
you're
will be
participating
electronic,
remotely, then they can do that.
right, so what I'm saying is we can just put that in, that only
Okay.
those with a
Yeah, yeah.
qualifying disability will
Yep,
be
yep.
electronic. So, Amy will update this. And we'll send this out soon, closer to the election. And he'll forward it to us, however you handled it before. It could be that you send it out and then CC the elections committee, so that it's within the body of the email, if that makes sense. Thank you for that kind. And so. Have we missed anything, John, that you can think of based on experience, or Angel, based on your experience, that Kenneth and I might have missed? So recap is Kenneth gives out the ballots, there's a certain amount of, so people come in and they talk, they get 5 minutes to talk. They get 3 minutes to speak and 2 minutes for questions. If they don't have any questions, we're gonna urge them to get off and let the next candidate come on, because why take up space? And after everyone does that, then we will announce that we will be giving out the ballots at a certain time, right? It may be a minute after the person sits. So we'll say at 11 o'clock, whatever it is, 8 o'clock, we're giving out the ballots starting now. And then this way we can document in the minutes that at 8 o'clock, Kenneth started giving out the ballots. And then we will tell them the procedure, please vote and bring it up and put it in the box. And then John will be with Angel will be monitoring any electronic votes that come in. And then John will confirm and see what's coming in that way. And he will also be the timekeeper. Pastor Scott will do the paper ballots, the first count, and Jordan Wright will do the second count. And if everything is okay, then I will make the announcements of who won the election. Angel, your finger was up?
Yeah, at the beginning, before the election is conducted, we have to conduct a roll call
Okay,
to confirm attendance.
okay,
And
so,
then you can do the election.
right,
That's
so
all.
we'll do the roll call right before it gets to us. So let's say the last.
before the elections part, like they can do their speeches, their questions, and you do a roll call, confirm attendance, give out the ballot.
So they can do the speeches before confirming attendance.
Mhm.
So speeches, then roll call. And, at the end of the vote, even though we got the paper ballot, we are going to be doing a roll call vote for adjournment to make sure
No,
we
no,
don't, that's no need.
That's not you.
Okay, no, I'm not us. I'm just saying in general.
Oh, the general meeting?
Right, so we finish and I make the announcements. Hopefully, there's no new business.
No. Once your part is over, then
That's
it goes
it.
back to Xavier, and then.
Right, and so then
finishes the
Xavier
meeting.
will do that?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
no, I know that he gets back to, but is it necessary to then do another roll call?
Yes.
Or it has
The
to?
reason we've added the second roll call is to confirm attendance. So if somebody
Okay.
showed up at the beginning of the meeting and then just snuck out, we do the second one to confirm that they left early.
Okay, so it doesn't matter to me if somebody
No.
snuck out at the end because I have a paper ballot.
Yeah, that second
don't
roll
need it
call
for
does
two
not
hours.
have anything to do with it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, all right. Just wanna make sure that we didn't have to do a roll call after.
No,
Okay, so. I think, have we covered everything, Angel, in your opinion? John, have we missed
I
anything?
think so.
You think so?
I think so, yeah.
Kenneth, anything you feel we need to add? Remember, you're going to get this electronic, you have it in paper, I'll try to send it electronically if you wanna just type in what you think you wanna add, and then once we do that, I'll put a final draft together and say, I'll put that in and I'll put maybe Kenneth, Kenneth. And if John, you have anything, I'll put your name next to it, right? And then if everyone says this looks good, I'll remove your names. Thank you so much for your help. And then I'll send it. Angel will still be part of this process, so he'll be seeing this. And then we'll clean it up and we'll send it out. And no later than November 3rd, I think my notes said, and we get it back no later than November 15th. And okay, and then like I said, we decided that we're giving everybody 5 minutes to sell themselves against this tremendous competitive process. Is there anything else we need to add? If not, I don't have any new business. I think the new business was discussed and we just finalized it. I believe there is no reason to do a next meeting because we have our roles. I think anything else we need to discuss, we can do it via email, or we can do, you guys have my phone number. If you don't, I'll make sure you have it. And you guys can call me. Please note for the audience, we would not be conducting board business. We would be talking informational and getting information that way. Nothing would be decided via that. Everything has been decided here. And with that, I'm going to adjourn and do a roll call by acclamation. Good night. Good night, all. Okay. Okay. So, thank you so much.
Thank you all, yeah.
All right.